Welcome back to another installment of our groundbreaking series, Key Issues, Ranks, Suits, and then is immediately attacked in the comments section. Thank you. I am your host, Nick, and I'm here with yet another signature episode. Award-winning, if I can say that. Yes, this is our signature series where we painstakingly round up every suit that a superhero or villain has ever worn in live action, and we rank them from worst to best. And today we're going to be looking at the master assassin, Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. But before this video starts, I want to mention today's sponsor, Ridge Wallets. Ridge Wallets make the best minimalist wallets on the market. Like I've said before, I have had them on my radar ever since they were a Kickstarter-backed project, and both Garrick and I use Ridge Wallets daily. We're really happy to have them as a sponsor, and their commuter backpack was a lifesaver at New York Comic Con and when we travel in general for key issues. Ridge makes a wide variety of wallets in a bunch of different materials, including aluminum, titanium, Damascus steel, carbon fiber, and pure radioactive kryptonite. Additionally, their commuter backpack is insanely durable, and like I said, we think it's the perfect travel bag. They also make top quality phone cases, power banks, and knives. So if you're interested in picking one up, head to ridgewallets.com/keyissues to get 10% off. We don't advertise anything we don't actually use, so definitely check them out. Now back to the video. Deathstroke is a character that Warner Bros. And DC seem to finally be comfortable pushing into the limelight, with major television and film adaptations showing up kind of out of the blue. Before about 2014, there really wasn't a properly done live-action Deathstroke ever. And here we are with a whole suit ranking video ready to go, so you know we're going to walk you through the last couple years of his looks, and a lot of them are pretty much fire. And this video does kind of have it all. It has some incredible suits, some horrendous suits, and some that are, they're just plain weird, if I can say that. But before we begin, let me attempt to mitigate the incoming firestorm of angry comments. Hi, I'm Nick. We've never met, but we definitely have a difference in opinion about many things. This video, the one that you're watching, it's just my opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. Despite what you may believe, this is not a personal attack on you or your tastes. Again, we've never met. Please enjoy this video for what it is, and if you disagree with my rankings, feel free to politely inform me of why you disagree down in the comments section. Thank you and enjoy. Now that we have that message out of the way that nobody's going to pay attention to anyway, let's rank some suits. Coming in at number 9, we have Lois and Clark's Deathstroke, and this one is pretty ridiculous, and it isn't actually Deathstroke, at least not in the sense that you would imagine. It's not Slade Wilson. If anything, we probably shouldn't even include this character on the list, but the character is named Deathstroke, and he looks ridiculous, so here we are. This character is from Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, and he was a villain who became a living magnet after a horrible... Hold on. Let me do this again. This character from Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, was a villain who became a living magnet after a horrible accident. Yeah, I think I nailed that one. The character's real name is Earl Gregg, and he became a magnetic assassin, but really this whole costume harkens back to a time when no one gave a shit about comic books or comic book properties. At least when I say no one, I mean, generally speaking, Hollywood didn't treat superheroes with any real respect. And I guess here's the thing that really screws with me on this costume. When this show came out, Deathstroke already existed for like 20 years. Somebody at Warner Bros. Had to actually sign off on this character's name and creation without knowing that they already had another much better Deathstroke? What? It's like making a villain in Arrow called Batman and then having him be somebody dressed like a baseball bat. It doesn't make any sense to me, but here we are. This was the world that we lived in the 90s. The costume itself is really dumb, and it fits well with how dumb the costumes were back then, but the circumstances around this character's existence is even dumber, so let's kind of move on. Coming in at number 8, we have Smallville's Deathstroke, or what we used to refer to as Old Man Slade, but we are now referring to this character as Boomer Deathstroke. Deathstroke within the Smallville universe was another character that didn't really represent his true comic book form. However, at least in this universe, Deathstroke was actually Slade Wilson. And like we said, it's actually probably more accurate to call him Old Man Slade. Slade in this universe was a military general who had accusations of war crimes following him around. I guess what version of Slade Wilson doesn't, but as you can tell, this costume is pretty standard, par for the course military general garb with one added bonus. It featured Deathstroke's classic katana. And it just kind of fascinates me how Deathstroke, again, had existed for years upon years. He had been this fan-favorite character, and Warner Brothers makes this version of the character. The early 2000s and the 90s were just a nightmare for comic book properties. Number 7 is John Diggle Jr., the leader of the Deathstroke gang. In a possible future, John Diggle had a son who becomes the leader of a group called the Deathstroke Gang, a gang that uses Deathstroke's imagery and likeness when pretty much just committing a bunch of petty crimes. The costume is a fair bit more simple than other Deathstroke costumes, and it's a bit slimmer on its host, which makes him feel a good bit less intimidating than other Deathstrokes in my opinion. I know oftentimes I don't discuss this, but the actor playing the role of John Diggle Jr. is smaller and thinner and therefore seems less menacing, which kind of always plays into the look and feel of a character's costume. The suit also features a sword and multiple guns. The helmet, however, is one of the weaker entries into the Deathstroke line, and it's not very sharp like the others, instead featuring a design that's more akin to Deathstroke's comic book look, almost kind of cartoonish. At number 6 we have Joe Wilson, and he's featured in the ARROWVERSE and is one of the sons of Deathstroke. Joe and his father have a pretty rocky relationship, with Joe constantly trying to kill him and all. Joe's suit is pretty close to the other suits on this list, except it's lacking one key feature. He doesn't wear the mask. Joe wears the exact same suit, it's almost nearly identical to his father's, but it doesn't have the signature dual-colored mask. His suit features a flak jacket that's essentially bulletproof, multiple types of grenades, a sword that is similar to his father's, sidearm pistols, and a classic submachine gun. Ultimately, the suit is pretty awesome, but without the mask, my hands are kinda tied here, Joe. I have to rank you a bit lower. At number 5, we have Billy Wintergreen, and it's been a while since I even thought about this character. Billy Wintergreen was the original Deathstroke on the island of Lian-Yu. He was originally an Australian Special Forces agent along with the fan-favorite Arrow Deathstroke Slade Wilson. Billy defected and began working with Edward Fires. Billy was also the nemesis of former Green Arrow and mentor of Oliver Queen, Yao Fei Gulong. However, unfortunately, Billy catches a rather nasty case of stabbed in the eyeball and is unable to recover from this illness. Billy's costume is fairly straightforward, special ops garb with the introduction of the signature Deathstroke mask. It's nearly 100% black tactical special forces attire with a bulletproof vest and gloves. Billy also used a curved sword, guns, and multiple types of grenades. This suit is great, but it's meant to be a placeholder, almost like an appetizer. Later in the season, you come into contact with Slade Wilson as Deathstroke, and at that point you see what this costume turns into, and you're like, yeah, okay, that sounds good, let's go with this instead. It's much better. Coming in at number 4, we have Grant Wilson, another Deathstroke from the ARROWVERSE, and in an erased future by the Legends of Tomorrow, Grant Wilson, the son of ARROWVERSE's Slade Wilson, took up the mantle of his father, Deathstroke, and conquered Star City. Eventually, Oliver Queen and Connor Hawke prescribed Grant a dosage of 2 arrows to the chest, and he is removed from power. But it goes to show you how the mantle of Deathstroke and his costumes are just too cool to avoid. All I'm saying is this: if my dad had a badass Deathstroke costume laying around the house, I might consider becoming a warlord. I don't know, I'd at least dip my toes in the water. Grant Wilson's costume is identical to Slade's ARROWVERSE costume. Slade's costume has been reproduced earlier by his other son Joe, but the reason this costume beats that one out is pretty simple. It has a mask. The mask featured on this suit is identical to Slade's, with one minor adjustment. It's silver where Slade's is normally orange, which is a reference to the character's look in the comics, who had a similar outfit to Slade, but silver. Taking home the bronze medal, we have Deathstroke from the ARROWVERSE, the main Deathstroke that we all love, Deathstroke Slade Wilson. And there's an age-old expression: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if the other entries in this video have shown us anything so far, it's that this suit is a really, really good representation of Deathstroke's classic costume. It certainly paved the way for future iterations and some of the even better entries on this list. This suit made its debut in Season 2 of Arrow when Deathstroke hands virtually the entire Team Arrow their ass on a silver platter. We've already spoken a good bit about this suit already. It's primarily black tactical gear with blue fiberglass protective plating over key areas of Deathstroke's physique that might need reinforcement from whatever reason. Some areas feature it for protection, others feature it so that he can use those surfaces more effectively as weapons, like his forearms and knuckles and shins, but this suit is also bulletproof and it's been shown to be able to take multiple handgun shots at near point blank range. His mask is also bulletproof and it features the signature orange and black aesthetic. The right side of his mask also doesn't have an eye hole, as it's valueless considering he doesn't have a right eye anymore. He also has a signature reinforced katana, multiple handguns, multiple types of grenades, a combat knife, throwing knives, a submachine gun. Basically, the man is a walking armory, and you know what? I support it. This suit was an excellent first true adaptation of Deathstroke's classic costume, and it helped form the blueprint for the remaining superior suits. Coming in at number 2 is Titan's version of Slade Wilson's Deathstroke. Titans is one of those shows that people I still feel are sleeping on for a wide variety of reasons, but believe me, this show is hype. This version of Slade is excellent, and his Deathstroke suit backs up the badassness of the actor playing the role. Deathstroke's suit, unlike his predecessors, appears far more enhanced than tactical equipment with a cool mask. This is custom form-fitting battle armor. The suit looks like it was tailor-made for Slade Wilson, and it's even kept in its own badass armory. It's bulletproof and it appears to be made out of a mesh fabric. It's resistant to blunt force trauma and was even able to withstand the heat from Firestorm's blast, which has the potential to reach the temperature of the sun if it's sustained long enough. It has reinforced shoulder, neck, knee, thigh, and shin armor plating as well. These appear to use carbon fiber as a reinforced base, and you know what? Screw it. Let's throw a bunch of shotgun shells and grenades all over them just to make them look even cooler. In terms of weapons, Slade has been shown using multiple firearms including submachine guns and pistols, and we've even seen him lugging around a Barrett Mk12 heavy sniper rifle which he uses to relieve Aqualad of the burden of existence, and we've also seen him use a heavy sniper rifle, the M107, to kill people from extreme distances. He also has multiple types of grenades, including the rarely seen flashbang grenade. The suit also features probably the coolest sword we've seen Slade use yet. It's a modified katana that he uses to chop quite a few people with. And he even has a retractable bow staff that features, yes, you guessed it, another gun inside of it. Lastly, his helmet is one of the coolest masks I've seen. Slade doesn't even have a right eye, but his mask features a holographic targeting module within the right eye hole. This is not only badass as hell looking when it lights up, but it also helps him in real-time battle with long-distance sniping. The helmet also appears to be a compound material that is carbon fiber based, but is definitely bulletproof like the rest of his suit. This suit is basically everything I wanted and more. It's a shame that it just isn't number 1. Because the gold medal goes to Slade Wilson in the DCEU, and I know, we've only seen this version of Deathstroke for a hot second, but just deal with it. You've already watched the video this far. The DCEU version of Deathstroke's costume is one of the coolest looking suits in the history of comic book film. From a purely cosmetic standpoint, it's just the cleanest suit, maybe of all time. But the key to this suit working, even more so than the Titan suit, is the actor playing the role, and this is something that I discussed a little bit earlier. Joe Manganiello sports the spot-on, dead ringer, picture-perfect look of Slade Wilson. This is possibly one of those rare instances when a casting director just made the cleanest choice that you can possibly make. The suit itself features many of the positive elements listed before from the Titan's Deathstroke, custom molded to Slade's body, carbon fiber composite armor plating, reinforced plating at all the vital points. And the suit also features 2 swords. For those of you keeping track at home, that's double the amount of swords of any other Deathstroke on this list, so go big or go home. It also features multiple firearms and a bunch of grenades. Lastly, let's take a look at the helmet and color scheme. Is this the cleanest of all? Yes. Is it the most comic book accurate but modernized and brought to life in a masterful fashion? Also yes. Does it make me cry into my pillow every night because Joe Manganiello probably isn't going to be playing Deathstroke in the DCEU anymore? Yes, I also do that as well. If there was one good thing that came out of Dawn of Justice, it's this suit. It's just a shame that Joe's future in the role is in doubt right now. We have no idea if or when we're ever going to see this suit again, but damn, if there's any Justice League in this world, we should. That is it for today's video, and I hope you enjoyed it. We know this suit ranking video is a bit shorter than others, but it's a character that's really exploding in popularity and one that we thought was due. Let us know in the comments section what you think about these rankings and what your top 3 are as well. This has been Nick with Key Issues, and you know the motto, Deathstroke over everything.